we see a city. 249 years ago, a massive dimensional portal opened in the skies, and then they descended. Those who would later be called demons. After their descent, they declared they were invading humanity, and this marked the beginning of the demon invasion. Realizing the gravity of the situation, the Orthodox Alliance formed the Orthodox Celestial Demon Extermination Corps and declared they would subjugate the demons. 3 days later, they encountered a demon corps in Manhwa and were decimated. A year later, within that year, half the people in the Central Plains were wiped out. The Orthodox and unorthodox Murim worked together to form the last line of resistance in Sichuan. The battle lasted for over half a month. 90% of the resistance army was taken out, and the Murim of the Central Plains was officially exterminated. The remaining survivors became slaves and were dragged into the demon realm. I was also captured and dragged here. 5 years later, I, who had been unable to use internal energy since birth, was categorized as a rare species. Through various experiments and brainwashing, I became part of the demon realm's subjugation army. After that, decades passed. I invaded other dimensions and carried out assassinations. I killed and killed and killed and killed some more. 75 years after I became a soldier slave, I was recognized for my contributions and became a commander among the demons. 120 years later, I was promoted to commander. We see him removing his mask. As soon as he takes it off, he looks up. In the sky, he finds something resembling an eye. I finally found out about it. I spent 50 years trying to find the conditions and methods to manifest it. And 65 years after that, I started the rebellion I had meticulously prepared. A week after the rebellion began, we see the present moment. Several fallen bodies, riddled with arrows and swords. The man sighs, exhausted. In front of him, we see a figure of fire. The rebellion has failed. How disappointing. You risked all the contributions you've accumulated just for a rebellion of this level, questions the Demon King Tarrant. Don't call me by that crappy name. My name is Sabigang. I really don't understand. I've watched humans like you all this time. Although the skills and talents you possess are minimal, you've always had a tenacious obsession with surviving regardless of the situation. That's your only strength. But why did you decide to act so recklessly after all this time? Because I had to experience it for the last time. To achieve ultimate victory, the next time we fight, I have no choice but to fight you at least once. That sounds quite interesting, but it's also a foolish way of thinking. Did you think I would give you a second chance? You will meet your end here today. Sabigang raises his hand and says, I won't be taken down by you. As soon as he says this, he thrusts his hand into his own heart. Tarrant stares at him, and he screams in pain, while twisting his hand inside his chest. As he does this, a strong light descends from the heavens and falls upon him. Time regression. The authority of Nuzarum, an ancient evil god. I see the reason why you quietly endured your defeat and humiliation for 200 years. It was all for this. Just you wait and see, you piece of crap. Next time, I'll prepare even more thoroughly and crush you completely. All of you damned demons will perish. Tarrant laughs and says, I look forward to it. The only human I ever acknowledged. Thus, we see the central plains of the Murim. The same light that fell on the man now falls on the roof of a building. We see the hole in the roof, and a young man lying fallen inside the room. The remaining time until the demon invasion is 10 years, he thinks, opening his eyes. Orthodox Alliance Martial Arts Academy, Dragon Spring Academy. We see a man fixing the roof. Man, I can't believe a lightning bolt just struck here out of nowhere. Right? And it was powerful enough to destroy the roof of the training area. Still, we should be thankful that only that loser got hurt. Loser? The orphan vice instructor that Dr. Jim Bayek brought back. They say he was the one hit by that lightning a few days ago. Ah? A martial instructor who can't use internal energy? From what I heard, he wasn't hurt that badly. It would have been better if he'd actually gotten messed up. Because today is his public execution. We see a training arena. Starting now, the duel for the position of Assistant Spear Instructor of the Dragon Spring Academy will officially begin. On one side, we have the current Assistant Instructor, Assistant Spear Instructor Sabigang. His opponent will be his challenger, who was recommended for the Assistant Instructor position, the Invincible Divine Spear, Mayang Song Diok. There was a request to identify the skills of Assistant Instructor Sabigang. Therefore, this duel will determine who deserves the position of Assistant Instructor. You two will have to fight with your honor as martial artists on the line. You look better than I expected. the man says, tapping the ground. From what I heard, you were struck by lightning out of the blue. I thought you were just looking for an excuse to avoid fighting me, says the self-proclaimed invincible divine spear, Mayang Sun Diok, martial art, demon bull spear art. But since you showed up, I'll end this quickly for the sake of your bravery. Or you could just surrender. Listening to this, Sabigang says, in the distant future, there was an instructor at a certain martial arts academy who couldn't use internal energy. Unfortunately, this was because he was born with that trait, but there was nothing to be done. He was naturally underestimated by others. In the end, that incompetent instructor, who was known as the shame of the martial arts academy, suffered a horrible defeat in a public duel. He had his instructor position stolen and was left to do errands and menial jobs. He went through some really terrible days. What kind of nonsense are you spouting now? Well, to sum things up, I've waited a long time for this moment, you ugly jerk. You bastard! How dare you act so arrogant? I was going to let you keep a little of your pride since you are an instructor. It's time for you to pay for that arrogant mouth of yours. Demon Bull Spear Art. Thus, he launches his attack. First form, Raging Bull Strike. After the attack, he thinks, the sensation I should be feeling in my spear. I don't feel anything? Sabigang, standing behind him, says, while that looks decent enough, you actually have to hit something for it to work, don't you? You bastard! He turns again, trying to strike him. However, Sabigang manages to leap away. After dodging, he lands on the other side of the arena. His confused opponent thinks, what just happened? How could he dodge the martial art I've trained for decades so easily? I was told he was weak, but this is completely different from what I heard. That was so slow. How can you teach anyone with skills like that? It can't be true. He must have gotten lucky. Thinking this, he stomps the ground so hard that he shatters the floor tiles and leaps for another attack. Perish. Demon Bull Spear Art, fourth form, Falling Bull Strike. Sabigang stares him down. He grabs his spear and begins to spin it. He extends his hand forward and prepares to receive the blow. There's no way that half-baked spear technique can block mine. Fireball! Fire! What? What? The man is struck. The masters watching are left gawking, as is the audience. The man, now in flames, rolls on the ground trying to put them out. The duel is over. The victor is Assistant Instructor Sabigang. I was captured alive by the demons. I was dragged to the demon realm and survived however I could for centuries. In that process, I realized something very important. He then asks the man, what do you think of my Yang Heat arts? High-level magic is indistinguishable from martial arts. This martial art is known as Fireball. After a moment, we see the man lying on the ground, the flames on his body gone. It was a good fight, says Sabigang. The other people who watched are confused by what they just witnessed. What happened? Was that really martial arts? I think he called it Yang Heat arts or something. Hey, sir! What just happened? What kind of nonsense was that? You won the fight. However, I thought you couldn't use internal energy. It was luck. 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 A few days ago, I ate an herb I'd never seen before while on a walk. And then suddenly, I could use internal energy. Thanks to that, I now have a ton of internal energy. Are you messing with us? How dare you speak such nonsense to your elders? Are you insulting all of us right now? The choice to believe it or not is yours. But who cares? Did I cheat in the duel? It was a fight for the spear instructor position, but there was no rule to fight using only a spear. I don't know why I have to be interrogated like this when I won fair and square. You, calm down. You're getting too worked up. You're right. You won this fight. So, since you won, you will. Sorry to interrupt, he says, raising his hand. But since everyone is here, I have a request to make. A request? I officially request a test. To be promoted to an official instructor. After the request, we see him walking. People stare at him, startled. That's him, right? The one from the duel. What? Seriously? Sabigang looks up at the sky. The Dragon Spring Academy, one of the many martial training halls established by the Orthodox Alliance to prevent hardships in the Jianghu Murin. Its purpose is to raise martial artists who will become the pillar of the Orthodox Alliance in the future. They accept children between 15 and 18 years old from sects and clans that are at least relatively large. The instructors are composed of martial masters from the Orthodox Alliance. They are divided into assistant instructors and senior instructors. The assistant instructors are more assistants than they are instructors, meant to actually help the kids. What happened? A man asks Sabagang as he enters a room. He looks at the man. How can you suddenly use internal energy? What did you do? The one asking is Jimbayek, the master of the body recovery pavilion. He's not an instructor, but a doctor who cares for patients. Sabagang then says, I already told you, it was luck. Enough with the nonsense. You know I've treated you for a long time. From the day I found out you couldn't use internal energy, I tried every possible method to fix it. But, if it was something that could be fixed so easily, then how? How useless am I as a doctor? I know better than anyone that you were hated by others because of it. I'm ashamed to face you now. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Staring at the man in this state, he thinks he hasn't changed a bit. 249 years ago. No, I guess it would be 15 years ago now. He was the person who ran into the flames and saved a child who was about to perish in a bandit ambush. He's also the one who ended up passing away trying to save others that day. However, this time, he then says, Master of the Body Recovery Pavilion. I'll make sure he doesn't perish. Thinking this, he says, you don't need to blame yourself. Don't worry about me either. You, just trust me. I'll solve all the problems from now on. We then see night arrive. Sabagang is standing, looking out the window. We see an energy circulating his hand, and a rune appearing. When I regressed, I lost over 90% of my mana. The best I can muster now is the 4th circle. How disappointing. It took me centuries to reach the 8th circle. No, I should be grateful I still have my mana at all. Yes, I have returned from hell. The history of the Jianghu Murin has been reversed, and the demons have not yet invaded. However, the key word is yet. Exactly 10 years from now, the demons will begin to invade. When that happens, the Jianghu Murin will fall again. However, it will be different this time, since I still have 300 years of memories. Information on the demon army, like the type of magic they use, the artifacts and weapons they prepared for the invasion, and most importantly, we see Terrance's face. How to defeat them. The doctor speaks to him again. You're here, Bigang. Yes, Pavilion Master. What is it? The Academy's Vice Master, Seon Semyoung, is looking for you. Now? And he asked you to deliver the message to me. I don't mind. I'm more worried about you. I think it's about your promotion request. You should be careful. I'm sure the test will be difficult. And since Mayang's son Diok, the person he recommended, lost like that, I'm sure he doesn't have good feelings towards you. Anyway, why did you suddenly decide you want to become an official instructor? He smiles. It's the first step to fixing this academy. We see him walking somewhere. Once upon a time, the Dragon Spring Academy was renowned enough to be considered the best of the top 3 orthodox martial academies. However, 2 years ago, the Academy Master, who was also one of the top 10 martial artists, suddenly disappeared. The Academy searched for him for 2 years to no avail. As it was difficult to replace someone as skilled as him, the Dragon Spring Academy lost its fame as a result. And to add to it, he thinks, opening a door. Let me check one last time. Assistant Instructor Sabagang. Are you certain about your promotion request? Asks Seon Semyoung, Senior Instructor of the Blade Technique and Vice Master of the Academy. This piece of crap, he thinks before replying. Of course, Vice Master. This scum is the one who accelerated the fall of the Dragon Spring Academy. Sabagang stares at him. The day of the demon invasion, we see the place covered in flames, and Sabagang standing, observing the location. Huge rifts opened on all sides, and never before seen monsters began to kill people without end. This marked the beginning of the invasion of the supernatural species we came to call the demon race. The young disciples of the Dragon Spring Academy were relentlessly taken down by the monsters. On that day, we see Sabagang looking back. As he looks, he finds the Vice Master running away. If Seon Semyoung, the Academy's Vice Master, hadn't fled first. If he had at least reported the situation, if he had activated the Academy's defense system, it would have prevented so many from perishing. I can vividly remember the screams of the disciples who were sacrificed that day. Although that hasn't happened yet because I returned to the past. But I will never forget your disgusting hypocritical face. You called for me, Vice Master. Then, I will tell you about the test for you to become a senior instructor. It is to raid the demonic Night Fortress. The demonic Night Fortress. You mean the bandits in the mountain behind us? Yes, take them out. That is your test. The Demonic Knight Fortress. They are a group of bandits located on the old Sacred Mountain, situated not far from the Dragon Spring Academy. Due to reports of frequent damage caused by this group of bandits, there is an order to attack the bandits for the benefit of the civilians. As he stares at the paper, he reads, "Signed by the Vice Master of the Dragon Spring Academy, Exion Semyong." Well, alright, but what does this have to do with being an instructor? Obviously, this pertains to the most basic requirements of an instructor. Senior instructors are the main force of the academy. We see Deong Byung, senior instructor of blade technique at the Dragon Spring Academy. All senior instructors at the academy are considered martial masters. They have all been officially recognized by the Orthodox Alliance. We see, in addition to the two already introduced, Imiyu Buki, senior instructor of archery technique, and Sang Pyu-ji, senior instructor of sword technique. All of them have achieved great things, like eliminating leaders of demonic martial artists or defeating bandits.
Yeah, I get it. So, how much time do I have?
Arrogant bastard! How dare you behave so rudely? Exactly 2 weeks. If you are late by even a single day, you will lose your chance for promotion forever. 2 weeks? He turns his back and says, "See you in 3 days. I'll be back." That bastard! Vice Master, are you really going to promote that arrogant child? If he succeeds, no need to worry, Instructor DeYoung. Our poor assistant instructor Sabagang will never return. Huh? What do you mean? We see Sabagang running using some kind of technique. As he runs, he thinks, "Zeon Semyong, you phony bastard. You think I don't know what you're plotting?" The Demonic Knight Fortress. It was during this period that the Green Forest Alliance began to gain fame. People still don't know much about them. At this point, it's not a large organization yet. The problem is, Are you serious? The leader of the Green Forest Alliance is a peak-level martial arts master, the master of the Demonic Knight Fortress, Agujan. He's no ordinary bandit leader, even the Orthodox Alliance thinks so, but he's actually a former leader of an unorthodox sect called the Heaven Shattering Sect. People think he was taken out by traitors a few years ago, but he actually managed to survive. He located and took out every single one of the traitors. Because of how cruel his revenge was, even the unorthodox Miriam put a bounty on his head. He was hiding and came here recently. But how do you know all this? Why does that matter? Sabigang was truly impressive in today's duel, but that was only possible because he'd been hiding his true ability. However, this test is a real situation, not a duel. I'm sure he won't come back alive. Well, we see Sabigang running towards the location. As he approaches a ledge, he uses levitation magic. If this Akujan is as I remember, fourth circle magic won't be enough to defeat him. So, the solution is simple. From above, he realizes he has arrived at the location. I'm here. We see him landing. And standing in front of the mountain, I will increase my mana and raise my circle. My experience and knowledge of magic are already at the 8th circle anyway. His eyes begin to glow as he uses a spell to scan the area. From within a cave, he finds an energy. This looks like a normal cliff. But it's actually, he extends his finger, which passes through the stone. A barrier made of mana. I'm in the right place. No one could have imagined that there are multiple places like this in the Central Plains, hidden behind mana barriers. Upon entering, he thinks, I knew it. A special grade mana stone. Demons, intelligent supernatural creatures that repeatedly invade and conquer other dimensions. This was made possible by their dimensional travel technology. However, there's a fatal flaw. In the process of passing through the dimensional portal, the time it takes for a living being and a non-living being is vastly different. Even the demons haven't been able to solve this problem. In the end, this was the solution they came up with. In the world they planned to invade, they secretly planted the equipment they would need in the future. This mana stone is the source of their power. It replenishes their mana. It's useless to someone from the Central Plains since they can't use mana. Sabigang extends his hand toward the stone. Well, at least until now. We see the outside of the cliff. And, suddenly, an explosion of energy. As night falls, we see a group walking. This is the bandit group. Fortress Master, it seems there's nothing outside the premises. Are you saying I made a mistake? No, it's just that… Shut up and search. I definitely felt a burst of energy from here. This is Akigujon. Losers like you would never know, but… Suddenly, Sabigang starts clapping and says, I knew it. You really are a martial master at the Peak Realm. I believed in you, master of the Demonic Knight Fortress. Who are you? Me? An instructor from the Dragon Spring Academy. Dragon Spring Academy. But what's an instructor doing down here? Shut your damn mouths. If you're telling the truth, are you saying you're the cause of the energy explosion from earlier? And what if I am? A surprise attack comes his way. We see the explosion from the blow. And the man saying, "Then I'll kill you. That's why I came all the way here." Oh, eh? An attack flies towards the man who was speaking. He barely manages to defend himself. We see Sabigang make a motion with his arm. As he makes this motion, the heads of several men are cut off in the same instant. The group leader is startled by what he saw. "What a coincidence," he says, extending his hand towards a sword. With some technique, he brings it to his hand. "I came here to kill you too." We see the impact of both swords. "You better avenge your subordinates." "You? Who are you?" He asks this, but they both back away from each other. After that, they resume exchanging blows. The blades clash as they dash across the area. "What? I already told you. I'm an instructor at the Dragon Spring Academy." Hearing the answer, he thinks, "I can't believe it. This bastard, he's not struggling against me at all." The man, realizing this, grinds his teeth and releases a powerful energy. Sabigang leaps backward. Hegemonic, divine art, heaven-shattering, core release. "You bastard, how dare you make me use this power?" Do you know what kind of power this is? After I was thrown off a cliff by traitors, I collected all this innate energy dreaming of revenge. As he was speaking, Sabigang interrupts him. "Who asked?" Just then, the man notices his leg being frozen. We see the power emanating from Sabigang's feet. I don't care about the backstory of some useless villain. Freezing wave. What? Astral chain. A few small portals appear next to the man, and from within them, chains begin to emerge. Both his arms are caught by them. We see the man trapped by both his hands and feet. He tries to break free, but he can't. Walking towards him, Sabigang says, "Trying to break free is futile. The moment this touches you, it starts to suck away your internal energy. It's a spell specially made to take down martial artists." "You bastard, where did you learn such witchcraft? Are you from the demonic cult?" I said it's magic, not witchcraft. Well, I shouldn't expect much from an idiot bandit. "You wretch! Perishing in a place like this?" Sabigang asks. "What? Do you have regrets?" "Yes, I still have to get my revenge. Those bastards who manipulated my subordinates while I was still in the heaven-shattering sect. The reason I was working with those disgusting guys from the Orthodox Alliance, and the reason I came to this mountain to recover my power, it was all so I could get my revenge. All of this was to..." Sabigang starts to clap. "Wow, you're so determined. That's how revenge should be done, slowly and without giving up. Are you messing with me now? What would you know? You're just a kid who grew up comfortably." "What? Comfortably? Does it look like it?" As he looks into Sabigang's eyes, the man is startled. "What the..." He's not just some ordinary insane guy. It seems like something is fundamentally wrong with him. "All right, I'll let you experience it too," he says, grabbing the man's face. "The hell I've been in for 200 years. As this is said, the man finds himself somewhere else. He is startled, not knowing where he is. What is this place? What did that crazy bastard do to me? As he looks back, he finds a flying demon. Noticing its presence, he goes into shock. Then, an explosion happens. Fire spreads. Martial artists fight against the demon. And we see the fallen men. Several flashes of Sabigang's experience pass through the man's mind, including the image of Tarrant. Seeing this, the man begins to lose his mind. He screams desperately. Sabigang just watches as the man mentally succumbs before him. "How was it?" "That is the future you will experience in 10 years. The man grabs at his clothes. "And me." Sabigang just stares at him. "End me. Just end me. Please. I can't take this." "Yes, I understand. But someone needs to do it." Back at the academy, we see the irritated vice master. "Damn it, I can't believe this." We see the sword and a bag, which probably contains the man's head. Sabigang says, "So, I didn't think you'd believe me if I just brought the sword, so I brought the head too. Now then, shall we discuss my new duties as a senior instructor?" Early the next day, we see an angry man slamming a table. This makes no sense. He was the shame of the academy just a few days ago, but now he's a senior instructor. What is going on? Questions Yewonjin, the senior fist technique instructor. Instructor Deyoung, did he really destroy the demonic night fortress by himself? Questions Mbiyuki. I checked the mountain myself. I found the corpses of the bandits as well as Akigujians, right where Sabigang said they would be. I don't know how, but everyone except Akigujan had their necks sliced with a single strike. That's bull. Are you saying he had a hidden sword technique too? It just doesn't make sense. So are you saying my eyes deceived me? If you don't believe me, you can check for yourself. That's enough. What are you all doing right now? The Vice Master interrupts the conversation. Alone, he thinks? It makes no sense, no matter how much I think about it. Akigujon is, at the very least, a peak-level martial master. I met him and confirmed this fact when I was relaying an order from the Orthodox Alliance. But for Sabigang to take him out in just one night, along with all his subordinates, that's something even I can't do as a peak-level martial artist. Could Jim Bayek have helped him? No, that old man isn't that skilled. I'll have to investigate further. Thinking this, he says, Instructor DeYoung, can you still get in touch with the Ghost Shadow Manor? You mean? Ghost Shadow Manor, one of the largest assassin organizations in the Murin. They are known for doing anything as long as they are paid accordingly. Make a request. Ask them to find everything they can about Sabigang, even what he does in his day-to-day life. Understood. Are you really going to promote him to senior instructor? Don't worry about that, Instructor Yeo. I have an idea. What is it? This is the list of disciples he will be in charge of once he's promoted. I see. I wouldn't expect anything less from you. You came up with such a brilliant idea. I make good use of my position. Maybe he'll give up on this job before the Ghost Shadow Manor even gets anything on him. That's possible since he has little experience. Instructor DeYoung, you gave the list to Instructor Sabigang, right? Yes, I gave him the list before this meeting. And what did he say? What would he know even if he saw it? He just smiled and said he understood. Those old fools, they're doing everything I expected them to do. I returned to this place and time for a reason. After learning about New Zeron's power of time regression, I wondered hundreds if not thousands of times what I should do to prepare for the demon invasion. The enemy is an army that has already conquered countless dimensions. Being just one person has its limits. There are many things I can do, but in the end, the best thing I could do was raise an army. Not a failed one like those who perished before my regression, but a powerful army that has learned all sorts of magic and martial arts. Those guys who were marked as troublemakers among the first-year disciples, although they are definitely talented, their personalities ended up getting in their way. Either that or they're not talented, or they were neglected for not coming from prestigious families. I believe the old geezers thought I couldn't handle them, but those old men would never imagine that the two heroes who did the best during the demon invasion. One was a martial master who reached the evolutionary realm in his late 20s, the last hope of Murim who led the alliance against the demons, the Holy Sword, the alliance leader. The other was a talented archer who led a squad specializing in assassinations and patrols and assassinated most of the demons by himself, the demon slayer, the divine archer. He begins to introduce himself to his disciples. Pleasure to meet you, while still thinking those two heroes. I will be your instructor from today on, are right in front of me now. We see the academy again. A young man takes a blow to his chest. His eyes widen, and he falls to the ground. Hey, our external arts training isn't over yet. Get up. The one saying this is Goki Boyuki, a first year in the Camellia class, second son of the Tiger Dragon Escort Association. Please stop, Boyuki. Please Den Li-young, a first year in the Camellia class, eldest son of the One-Star Sword clan. What's with you? Someone's gonna think I'm bullying you. You should be grateful, you bastard. I'm showing a weakling like you my mountain, shattering Tiger Dragon fist arts. It's just that there's the swordsmanship my clan teaches. What? The One-Star Sword clan? That crappy martial art you couldn't even use properly against me. You want to keep learning that? You. Hey, stop clenching your fists, you son of a gun. Otherwise, should we have another duel? No. That's enough, Goki Boyuki, says another young man entering the area. The exam period will be starting soon, so stop causing unnecessary commotions. The one saying this is Yeon Wakyoung, a first year in the Camellia class, second son of the Yeon Destructive Sword clan. Fine. Consider yourself lucky. Thank you. The young man hears the thanks, but turns his face away. The other remains on the ground. Yeon Wakyoung, Goki Boyuki, and Tan Li-young. Yes. What is it? This is sudden. But the Vice Master informed me that you will no longer be in the Camellia class. Instead, you'll be transferred to a newly created class. What? Thus, we see the introduction again. Welcome, cadets. I will be your instructor from now on. What is going on? Cut the crap! It's bad enough we had to change classes suddenly, but now we're under this crappy instructor. You think I'm going to listen to a garbage order like yours? Your choice of words while speaking to a senior instructor is a bit insolent, Cadet Gokiboyuki. Screw you. I don't know what kind of trick you pulled to become a senior instructor, but I have no plans to learn from some wretch who couldn't even use internal arts until recently. Sabagang lowers his head with a slight smile, and in his hands, which are hidden behind his back, we see a rune appearing. Academy Rules. Article 3, Clause 5. He appears in front of the cadet in the blink of an eye. While the cadet was trying to understand what was happening, he gets his foot stomped on and screams in pain. If a cadet demonstrates poor behavior, you may punish them with the aim of guiding them. The cadet gets angry. His fist is enveloped in a flame, and he starts to attack the instructor. You bastard! Cursing and violence against a superior, using internal arts during class without permission. But worst of all, the cadet is struck. His eyes bulge. Sabagang says, "This pathetic martial skill." Then he hits the cadet in several points on his body and kicks his leg. The cadet falls to the ground. Hey, get up. My lesson isn't over yet." The other boy watching is impressed. How can this be happening? This is the same Gokiboyuki who's at the top among the new students in external arts training. And to think he's losing so one-sidedly, like he's a child. You son of a. Sabagang lands a knee to his mouth. The others watch in distress. Wow, what a nasty state of affairs, starting on the very first day. Too bad, I guess, he says, clenching his fist. It's an instructor's role to hold back their tears and educate. The cadet raises his hand, preparing to receive another attack. However, Sabagang's arm is grabbed. We see the cadet who grabbed him. This is a bit excessive against a cadet, Instructor Sabagang. So, this is where you finally decide to move. Young Master Yeon Wokyoung. We see the cadet, who before the regression was the Holy Sword and Alliance leader. Yeon Wokyoung from the first-year Camellia class, the second son of the Yeon Destructive Sword Clan, one of the prestigious clans of the Central Plains. Since childhood, he was recognized within the clan as a genius in martial arts. And even among the new students at the Dragon Spring Academy, he demonstrated impressive skill. His talent was beyond what the Dragon Spring Academy could contain. At just 20 years old, he achieved the feat of becoming the youngest in history to become a supreme martial master, and was ranked among the top 10 martial masters of the Orthodox Alliance. Originally, he should have lived a brilliant life, revered as one of the absolute martial masters of the Central Plains and admired by all. But, that's if they had never appeared. From the early stages of the demon invasion, he participated in more battles than anyone else. But soon, the Yuan clan became the target of concentrated attacks from the demons and was annihilated. All clan members except for him were brutally taken out. Still, he did not collapse into despair and grief like the others. He traveled across the Central Plains, fighting countless battles against the demons, gathering survivors, and forming an allied force that transcended both orthodox and unorthodox sects. Even in a hopeless situation where everything was against them, he led the remaining martial artists in a desperate final stand. I still remember. He always charged to the front lines of the battlefield, and whenever he unleashed his dazzling sword energy, even enormous demonic beasts that seemed to cover the sky were struck down in an instant. Without a doubt, he was the hero and the final hope of the Central Plains. Although, now he's just another snooty noble brat from a prestigious clan. So, you've finally decided to move, young Master Yeon Wokyoung. Sabagang removes the young man's hand from his arm. This is quite amusing, Instructor Sabagang. Why, are you surprised that the assistant instructor who couldn't even use internal energy until recently suddenly got so strong? Of course, it's unexpected. But the fact that all you can do with this newfound power is show off in front of the cadets, that's just pathetic. For crying out loud, how shameful. Is this also because of the so-called fated encounters? You're sharp, aren't you? Sabagang thinks before asking. Why, are you curious? If you follow my training obediently, I might tell you one day, no thank you, that won't be necessary. I don't know what kind of trick you used to suddenly change the class roster like this, but I will be sending a formal complaint to the academy about the person responsible. I have no interest in learning from someone who's gotten full of himself because of a lucky break. The students begin to leave the area. Sabigang watches. Some, however, still remain by his side. The boy who was getting beaten. And a girl watch him as he distances himself. The boy who was getting beaten up earlier is frightened by what's happening. The instructor suddenly starts to laugh. Look at you, talking as if you're something special, so you think there's nothing to learn from me? What if I told you that in just 10 days of training, this guy right here could become strong enough to beat you? The boy, who was put in this situation without even wanting to be, is stunned by this. The snooty young man stops walking and questions, "What did you just say?" "I'll repeat it as much as you want. After just 1 week of my training, this pathetic weakling, the one you consider less than an insect, will be able to wipe the floor with you." That's what I said. "Instructor, what is this? Are you crazy?" The instructor covers his mouth. The snooty young man looks back with hatred in his eyes. "Are you really willing to take responsibility for those words?" Of course, of course. Should we make a bet? In 10 days, you and this little guy will face off in an official duel. If he wins, you will follow my training without another word. If you win, you can do whatever you want. You can make me leave the academy, apologize, or kneel and beg. I'll do whatever you want, anything I want from you. There's nothing I need from you. However, you'd better be prepared for the match that will take place a week from now. The instructor remains silent. The young man beside him lets out a nervous squeak. "Geez, you scared me." This boy looks at him and yells again. "You're too loud, man." "Instructor, what did you just do?" Sabigang replies. "Look at you, just overflowing with energy. Calm down and get off me. I'll explain. Why would you put me up to fight Yeon Wokyung? Have you lost your mind? What did I do to deserve this? Get off me, you roach." Well, it seems today's class is cancelled. All cadets, you are dismissed for now. The time for the next class will be sent to you individually by tomorrow. What the heck is going on? One of the cadets wonders. I'm screwed. A public duel. You just need to win. Why are you assuming you'll lose? During my first public duel after enrollment, I lost to Gokiboyuki. And I lost badly. Since then, he's been tormenting me every day. But did you know, even that monster, Gokiboki, couldn't land a single hit on Yeon Wokyung. He lost without doing anything. Yeon Wokyung. Yeah, he's definitely something else. Even without the support of the Yeon clan, his talent for martial arts alone is truly unmatched. If you already know that, then why? Don't worry, he says smiling. You are stronger than him. First year, Camellia class, from the one-star sword clan, Dan Leung. Excuse me, before the regression he was the divine archer, the demon slayer. No. Let's just say there's nothing I can do. Our class, the head instructor, suddenly changed. But why do I have to get into a public duel against that monster of all people? Don't you get the flow yet? You have to win a duel for me to prove my skills. That's your problem. What do I get for being dragged into this? Revenge. Excuse me? Didn't you used to get beaten up frequently by that big bastard? How do you know that? How did you feel when I beat the crap out of him recently? Were you excited? Did you feel refreshed? Was the feeling so good you were euphoric? Or did you feel bad because you couldn't get revenge yourself? You said it yourself, even Gokiboki couldn't touch a hair on Yeon Wokyung's head. But what if you became so strong that you could beat Yeon Wokyung? Then even someone like you could easily be able to get revenge with your own 2 hands. How about it? Wouldn't that be a great gift for the current you? If, he says hesitantly, I really become as strong as you say, then I'll do it, of course. But this has nothing to do with Gokiboyuki. What I want is simply to become stronger than I am now. All right, we'll see. Thus, we see a training dummy. Sabigang watches the boy from the roof. Let's check your skill level now. Pretend you're fighting Yeon Wokyung now and use your martial arts to their fullest. The boy breathes, leaps, rushes towards the dummy, and attacks it with his wooden sword. After the first blow, he gets up again and continues to attack it repeatedly. We see sweat on his face. Sabigang says, "Keep going, don't stop, go all out." He charges for the attack again. But something strange happens in his body, and the young man falls to the ground. There, he begins to cough. Sabigang observes and then says, "Pathetic. Do you know what your problem is now? While performing the basic movements, for some reason, my internal energy keeps dispersing. At first, I thought I had learned my clan's martial arts incorrectly, so I tried to confirm it several times. However, there were no problems with my basic movement. So I thought maybe there was a problem with my Dantian or Meridian points. I checked several times when I was in my clan, but still, there was nothing. Maybe I just lack talent. Or maybe it's some unknown illness. No, that's not it. Your Meridian points are just a bit farther apart than others. How? How? What does that mean? It's hard to understand. Like I said, you were born with your Meridian points farther from your mind meridian than most. Normally, it's considered a rare constitution that has more advantages than disadvantages. However, since you're still young and have a slight lack of internal energy, you're experiencing a problem. You must be aware that all martial artists have to discharge the internal energy created in their Dantians through their meridian points. But since you have wider meridians compared to others and a mediocre amount of internal energy, the power of your internal energy doesn't focus properly. And that's why your internal energy keeps dissipating. This is the first time I'm hearing this. It makes sense. We see a memory. Sabagang in his past life is on the ground, holding his shoulder. In front of him, we see the divine archer. After all, it's information I only heard by coincidence. We return to the present moment. This atmosphere, does he have some story behind him? Well, I'll end the explanation here. Now that you know the problem, we have to fix it. The young man questions, is there a way to fix it? Of course, it's very simple actually. Compared to other people, you lack power due to your wide meridian points, which means you can solve the problem by increasing the amount of internal energy you have. Since we can't increase your internal energy in such a short period of time, there's only one method I can teach you now. Keep accumulating internal energy until you start the basic movements. Once you've gathered enough, we see the boy charging at the dummy. He performs a movement with his sword and cuts the dummy in half. You'll be able to demonstrate your true power. The young man smiles at the result, as does the instructor. Instructor, did you see that? My internal energy really didn't dissipate. Yeah. I certainly saw it, so you can rest easy before you collapse. Collapse? I've never felt so full of energy before. Suddenly, he faints. After collapsing, we see his eyes opening. What? Waking up, he starts to cough. Did I just faint all of a sudden? Why? How are you feeling? Instructor, I don't have any strength left in my body. It's a minor side effect of channeling all your power for the first time. You've never properly used your mind meridians before, so your unadapted body took a shock. Well, there's nothing to worry about. The side effects will naturally disappear after a few months. I see. A few months? Wait, a few months, but the duel is in a week. We see the dusk. A branch sways, and the instructor says, you are currently facing two major problems. When you release a technique with your stored energy, all the internal energy you've gathered up to that point is consumed in a single blow. Then, as I said, your body can't handle it and you faint. However, your energy core is also too small to store your energy in advance, and it can't sustain it for long. If you do that, not only will you collapse, but you'll run the risk of an energy deviation, so it's absolutely forbidden. How's that? Easy to understand so far, right? Yes, I understand. But what does that have to do with what you're holding? The instructor, shaking the piece of wood, says, don't sweat the small stuff. More importantly, think about this. Considering this, you can only start storing energy after the duel begins. Now, how long did it take you to gather your energy before? The boy says, approximately 7 minutes. So, how are you going to hold off Yeon Wook-young for that long? What do I do? There's only one answer. You dodge until you can gather it all, he says, lunging at the boy. He makes an attack, but the boy manages to dodge. What are you doing? Focus and start gathering your energy. Don't take your eyes off the opponent's weapon. As he says this, he uses a spell, Illusion. The boy sees two weapons attacking him. Thus, he is hit by the real one. We see the sunset again. You're complaining even though I didn't use any internal energy. Get up, we're going to continue. This is training? Of course it is. Dodging practice, the boy questions. Wait, what kind of ridiculous training is this? Ridiculous training? Hey Dan Lee-young, do you think I'm doing this to bully you? I just explained to you why you're weak and how to fix it. I demonstrated it clearly. And also, I guarantee it. Right now, this is the only way for you to even land a scratch on Yeon Wook-young a week from now. Is the training painful and difficult? Of course it is, but is it harder than the times you were humiliated by Goki Boyuki and Yeon Wook-young? Are you really going to throw away the perfect chance to prove yourself to yourself and to all those who treated you like trash? He remembers the look in his opponent's eyes. I'm sorry, instructor. Please, continue with the dodging practice. I can endure a whole day of this if I have to. Hearing this, the teacher asks, a whole day? What the heck are you talking about? You'll be doing this non-stop for the rest of the week. The boy is startled. What did you say? Here I come. Wait. 1 week later, we see the two in the arena. People are prepared to watch. We see Wokyung looking perfectly fine, and Leung completely beaten up. I wonder how long Dan Leung will be able to last. He's just going to get smashed with a single blow and faint on the floor. Did he prepare some kind of countermeasure? I saw him while passing by a few times, but he just spent the whole week getting beaten with a stick. What an idiot. If you're trash, just stay quiet in the corner. That coward who grovels even in front of me is going to beat Yeon Wokyung. That's bull. You fell for that con artist's lies and dug your own grave. Instructor Sabi Gang. I said I didn't want anything earlier, but under the circumstances, I'd like to make one condition. All right, what is it? If I win, you must promise to leave the academy on your own. I never want to waste time like this again. Deal. I swear on my name. You are aware of what will happen if you lose, right? If I lose, I must attend your classes and train without complaint. I remember, he replies. Very well, but aren't you forgetting something? The person you should be focused on isn't me, but Dan Leung, who is standing right there on the other side of the dueling arena. We see the boy holding his sword, completely focused. Wokyung just glares at him. All right, let's begin. Victory will be determined when one side gives up, loses consciousness, or drops their weapon. Furthermore, any lethal or life-threatening blows are strictly prohibited. In such cases, as the judge, I will make the final decision. So now, begin the duel. All right then, begin. The boy, prepared, observes his opponent, but we see a quick movement, and his arm is sliced off. He's shocked, not understanding what's happening, and he sees his own arm flying away. Surrender. What? My arms are fine? What a fool! You agreed to fight me, even while trembling so much from just a little bit of killing intent? That was killing intent just now. This means that, if he wanted to, he could really. I can't do this. People consider this guy the best in the academy. There's no way someone as weak as me can defeat him with just a few weeks of training. Dan Leung. He looks at the instructor, who stares back at him, smiling. An aura emanates from the instructor. The boy gets scared. Let me remember. What I want is to become stronger than I am now. That day, 1 week ago, the reason I decided to become stronger. Idiot, I gave you a chance to get out of this fight without getting hurt. Saying that, he gets ready and launches himself. You brought this on yourself. The swords clash. Dan Leung manages to defend himself. He reacted in time. The swords move apart, and Dan Leung thinks that could have been bad. The energy I gathered was almost dispersed. Supreme Dragon, Heaven, Slicing Sword, First Technique, Berserk Dragon's Torrent of Fury. The attack heads towards Dan Leung. This sword key is very powerful, but it's just a feeling I have. I feel like this attack is easier to dodge than I expected. As he dodges, the others watch in astonishment. Looks like you really did learn something. Supreme Dragon, Heaven, Slicing Sword, Third Technique, Twin Dragon, Fang Cut. Dan Leung faces the attack and thinks, is this sword technique the same one the instructor used? Realizing this, he takes a leap and dodges the technique by passing over his opponent. The opponent looks up at him. Dan Leung lands. Upon landing, sweating, he looks ahead. His opponent is already attacking him again without giving him room to react. Dan Leung, despite this, keeps dodging. He's strong, he's fast, and precise too. I wouldn't expect anything different from the sword technique of the best swordsman clan in the Central Plain. However, that doesn't mean I can't dodge them. I don't understand why, but this sword technique. He remembers his training with the instructor. He sees the similarity in the technique. It's definitely the technique Instructor Say has been using with me for the past whole week. The other gets startled, seeing that his technique isn't working. He jumps back and creates some distance. Yeon Wokyung backed away. Is this really happening? I can't believe it. Maybe he's acting? As if, why would Yeon Wokyung do that? Yeon becomes thoughtful. He looks at his sword and again grips the hilt tightly. I apologize for calling you a fool. I have to admit you've learned a lot in the past week. I don't know how you learned the Supreme Dragon Heaven, slicing sword. A glow starts coming from his sword. Startled, Danlong thinks, is that a kind of tornado appears over Yeon's head. Supreme Dragon Heaven, slicing sword, fierce dragon annihilation. But if you can dodge this one too, I will admit my defeat. The people watching are surprised by the technique. Everyone wonders what kind of technique that is. That crazy scoundrel. Danlong also prepares himself. We see a light also coming from his sword. The night before the duel. Dan Leung is panting and sweating. You've been doing well. This might be possible now. Will this really allow me to dodge all of Yeon Woo-kyung's attacks? No. Yeon Woo-kyung isn't a fool. He might underestimate you now, but if you continuously dodge his sword attacks, he will take a countermeasure. And if you survive until the end, he will probably use that. The largest scale sword art that Yeon Woo-kyung can currently use. Its name is Fierce Dragon Annihilation. It looks like a fierce dragon has literally materialized. It's also an art that creates a huge sword kick. I'm telling you in advance, but you can forget about dodging that. It's useless to try to jump or go back to try to dodge. It will instantly grow and swallow the entire stadium. The boy asks, then how? That's basically unbeatable. Listen, nothing is unbeatable in this world. A storm of sword energy working together to spin endlessly in a whirlpool in all directions. That's just what it looks like. It's not a perfect martial art. In the first place, the Fierce Dragon Annihilation is a martial art created to annihilate most enemies who are caught off guard by its incredible force trying to flee. You mean? The teacher says, yes, there's only one way out. We see the technique spreading from his feet. And the boy walking towards his opponent. Keep moving forward. Dan Leung walks forward, surprising his opponent. Of course, if it's Yeon Woo-kyung, he'll try to respond immediately upon realizing his technique has been figured out. But in this position, it will simply be a response in a situation where he is surprised by what happened. This will be your moment. Use the anger you've accumulated for so long, and land a strike on that arrogant jerk. Dan Leung's sword clashes against Woo-kyung's, and so the opponent's sword breaks. We see Dan Leung's eyes glowing. Woo-kyung is startled, as are the people watching. The other boy, who was taking advantage of Dan Leung, gets angry when he realizes this. We see the broken sword again. Woo-kyung holds only the hilt, without the rest of the blade. And Dan Leung, his sword complete and exuding energy. Despite this, he is completely out of breath. His leg trembles, and he falls to the ground. Lying down, he tries to catch his breath. What happened? Why did he suddenly collapse? Did Yeon Woo-kyung do something? Woo-kyung stares at his broken sword. If you can dodge even that, I will admit my defeat. I lost, he says before the instructor speaks. So far, the duel is over. The result is a draw. No, I lost, Instructor Say responds. This is what it looks like when you're completely overwhelmed. On one side, we have a broken sword, and on the other, someone in no condition to continue the fight. The official duel between Yeon Woo-kyung and Dan Leung is over. As the official referee of the duel, I declare a draw. A draw. We see them both. Therefore, the promise made beforehand is invalid. Now, a round of applause for them both. What are you trying to do? Wasn't your goal to make me join your classes anyway? Or did you want to hurt my pride with such a shameful method? The instructor says. Think whatever you want, as long as your little pride remains intact. Why would I bother teaching someone who doesn't want to learn? Don't complain, just choose. That guy's completely unconscious. He's practically a goner on this side. At least that poor guy lying there puffing away. He chose to fight of his own free will. Sorry, instructor. In the end, I still couldn't win. The instructor extends his hand and helps Dan Leung up. Dan Leung, how was it? The boy asks. What? In front of him, he sees everyone applauding him. The other students celebrate. Only one remains irritated. It's exciting, right? He watches with wide eyes. Yes. We see the academy, and the instructor walking with a staff on his back. He opens a door and enters the classroom. There, we see 3 students and Dan Leung. But the instructor looks to the side and finds Yeon Woo-kyung. All right then, let's start our first class. At another time, geez, those jerks, weren't they the same ones who were totally in favor a moment ago? Darn it, how did things end up like this? I trusted you and left everything in your hands. What's the meaning of this? The point wasn't to make Sabigang leave voluntarily. Why are the cadets following him willingly instead? What's going on? Especially Dan Leong from the One-Star Sword Clan and Yeon Woo Kyung from the Yeon Clan. Both cadets now adamantly insist on continuing their training under Sabigang's control. And if we force them to change classes like last time, they've gone so far as to threaten to leave the academy and report it to the Yeon Clan. We should never allow a genius like Yeon Woo Kyung to go to someone like him. The other says this is directly tied to the academy's reputation. It's an emergency matter. How will you take responsibility for this mess? Vice Master of the Exion Academy, he replies. And now you're trying to pin this on me. You're all just parasites desperate to win the Exion clan's favor. Are you seriously saying that Yeon Woo Kyung lost to some punk from a bottom-tier one-star sword clan? Technically, it was a draw. But according to the cadets who watched it, it was essentially a defeat. The Vice Master replies, "Can you hear yourself? Yeon Woo Kyung is one of the greatest prodigies in history, even within the Yeon clan. So he thinks Sabigang, the more I learn about him, the less I understand. We can't let him get away with this any longer." Wait a minute, come to think of it. Haven't we heard back from the Phantom Shadow Manor yet? No, not since they said they would review our request. Angrily, he says, a mere group of mercenaries dares to act all high and mighty. You'd better watch your words and actions. One of these men appears behind them. The instructors are startled and try to strike him, but nothing happens. Who's there? What a foolish question. The Vice Master starts to think, what's the meaning of this? I'm a martial master of the Peak Realm, but I didn't sense anything at all. Didn't you say it yourselves? We are here to fulfill your request. Now, tell me more about Sabigang. We see the most elite mercenary group in Jianghu, the Phantom Shadow Manor. On a piece of paper, we see a picture of Sabigang and Phantom Shadow 1, analyzing the picture. They're shelling out this much just to investigate a rookie instructor? For a place with such a lousy reputation, they really seem to be swimming in money. Phantom Shadow 1 continues to speak. It just shows how corrupt they are, not that I care. Seriously? Don't these kinds of orthodox sects just tick you off? They're always pretending to be all virtuous, and now they're secretly ordering a background check on their own subordinate. The one saying this is Phantom Shadow number 7. As if we're any better, accepting such a pathetic request for money. This is Phantom Shadow number 5. Number 5. Have you forgotten your mission? Until we find him and serve him, we swore to endure any dirty and despicable task. I spoke out of turn. Please forgive me. Number 1 says, it's all right. Just focus on the mission. Should we investigate this Jin Bayek, the one who supposedly raised him since childhood? Number 1 says, for now, let's just locate him and keep surveillance on the target. Do you think the rumor of him having a fateful encounter is really true? Number 1 replies, don't seriously believe that nonsense. Still, they said he supposedly couldn't use internal energy and overnight became a martial master. If it's not a fateful encounter, what happened then? Number 1 replies, and what if Sabigang had a hidden past? Or maybe he infiltrated this place after being planted by some hostile faction with a sinister objective. That's probably what the clients suspect, and that's why they hired us. As for him, he might be far more dangerous than we expected. Don't let the target even feel a breeze from us. Be extremely cautious, the other says. What a joke, Captain? No matter how strong he is, there's no way he can detect the stealth techniques of the Phantom Shadow Manor. Then, let's begin. We see Sabigang and his companion standing still. I've been hearing a lot about you at the academy recently. Everything they told me was surprising. Are you sure you'll be all right? It seems people are starting to move against you, Sabigang says. Envy and jealousy always accompany the path a hero walks. There's nothing to worry about? That fateful encounter must have been truly extraordinary. Who would have thought you'd change so much? Now that I think about it, it all started with that duel. Back then, I was suddenly stunned. Sabigang says, even I thought that was a bit much. If you had lost that duel, it would have been a disaster. The Vice Master of the Exion Academy was clearly trying to get rid of you. Sabigang thinks, well, to be honest, I was expelled. Before I returned in time when I couldn't use magic or anything, I was brutally defeated in my duel against Mayang Sondeoki. I was stripped of my assistant instructor position and demoted to menial labor. Eventually, unable to bear the shame, I fled the academy. I wandered aimlessly for a while and without a way to make a living. I ended up becoming an escort warrior in an escort agency. Even though I still couldn't use internal energy, I poured my blood and sweat into training my physical techniques and spear fighting. After surviving countless dangerous escort missions, attacks from unorthodox sects and bandits, I eventually became a top-tier escort warrior after a few years. Thus, I spent more than 10 years as an escort warrior. I've been to every corner of the Central Plains and built a wide network of contacts and information over time. And then one day, I stopped by the Dragon Spring Academy for old time's sake. And on that night of that day, we see chaos unfolding. Sabigang, remembering this, raises his hand and throws a stone into the water. "Why did you suddenly throw a stone in the water?" he replies. "I just saw an ugly frog and couldn't help myself." "Hey, why try to hurt a poor frog?" Sabigang smiles and replies. "Did you forget you caught me giving medicine to a frog when I was little?" They walk away, and we see the phantom shadows. One of them seems to feel something. "Are you okay? Number 7. Number 7 replies. "That crazy jerk, he suddenly threw a rock at me. Could it be that we've already been discovered?" Number 5 says, "Would he really have walked away from us if he had discovered us? You were just unlucky." Number 7. "Are you seriously doubting the cultivation techniques of the Phantom Shadow Manor over something so small?" "No, sir. How would I dare?" "Good. Have more confidence in your skills. He's coming back. Keep watching him." We see Sabigang looking out the window. Instructor Sa, Dan Leong, and Yeon Woo Kyung. My first post-regression goal is now complete. The time has finally come to bring her here. If my memory is correct, she'll be at the... Something catches his attention. Someone appears at the door. "You're acting as if you were expecting me," the instructor says. "Well, I figured you'd be getting restless by now." "Yeon Woo Kyung," the boy asks. "What is it? What's with that nasty look on your face?" "So, what brings the young master of the Yeon clan's destructive sword to such a humble place?" The young man seems a bit withdrawn. Sabigang asks, "What?" "The duel from before. During the duel, Dan Leong was able to casually respond to all my basic moves of the Supreme Dragon Heaven, Slicing Sword. At first, I thought that was simply the result of 1 week of training. But, on second thought, those were movements that went beyond momentary responses. It's as if he knew all the movements and paths of my sword technique. The one who taught him the paths of my destructive sword, the Supreme Heaven, Slicing Sword, must have been you, right? How could an outsider know the martial arts of the Yeon clan's destructive sword in such detail?" "Who knows," says the teacher. "The martial arts of the Yeon clan's destructive sword, which is considered the greatest sword clan currently, is quite famous among martial artists. Don't you think?" Woo Ka-young says. "Stop playing games. That wasn't a superficial level of knowledge." "Do you think I wouldn't be able to tell the difference?" the instructor replies. "Of course you'd notice. If you hadn't, I would have been very disappointed in you." "Stop trying to dodge the subject." The instructor sits down and says, "Stop. Be more honest if you want to be my disciple. That's not what you're truly curious about. You came here to check if I also knew the flaws in your sword technique that you also felt, right?" His eyes widen. "It was perfected hundreds of years ago and has been passed down within the clan as a unique sword technique, the Supreme Dragon Heaven, Slicing Sword. This is the sword technique currently considered the strongest in the Central Plains, having incredible destructive powers, ever-changing sword paths, and no gaps. But since you were young, you grew up using this swordsmanship. With your uncommon wisdom, you realized something. The Supreme Dragon Heaven, Slicing Sword, is not an unbeatable martial art. But as the heir of the great Yeon clan's destructive sword, you couldn't acknowledge that." Woo Kyung replies, "Are you disparaging my clan's martial arts? Think what you want, but just let me say this. In the near future, a day will come when these things you martial artists value so much, tradition, honor, nobility, and reputation, will all cease to matter and become insignificant. Just think about one thing, becoming stronger than you are now. Push anything that gets in the way of that aside without hesitation. Well, we'll have time to talk about this in detail later. Let's talk when that time comes. For now, just follow your instincts." So let's just say, suddenly, something catches his attention. "Why did you suddenly pick up a wooden pillow?" Sabigang replies. "It's nothing. Don't worry. There's an annoying frog outside." At dusk, we see the phantom shadows standing on the roof. Number 1 observes the area. Master Jin Baek, of the Body Recovery Pavilion. Normally a doctor who worked in Gansu, but 5 years ago, he became responsible for the Body Recovery Pavilion that treats patients and came to the Spring Academy. While he is capable as a doctor, he has barely learned any martial arts and doesn't seem to have a very interesting past either. Number 1 replies to this. We investigated him since he's close to Sabigang, but he just seems like an ordinary doctor. However, this clean past seems artificial. Hearing number 7's voice and turning, he's taken aback by what he finds. Number 7, why are you like this? Number 5 and number 7 can't answer. Number 5, however, remembers all the times he was hit by Sabigang. Are you sure you haven't been discovered? Well, they didn't pay us any mind, so… No matter how I think about it, I think we've been discovered, haven't we? Number 7, do not doubt the techniques of our clan. He must just have a bad habit of throwing things. You've experienced worse. Hang in there a bit longer. Sir, I'm telling you in advance, but if anything comes flying again, I won't hold back. I'll take care of him myself. I understand how you feel, but calm down. We've moved away from the accommodations, so the accidents won't keep happening. Who knows? What if that jerk suddenly wakes up and decides to practice archery? Hey, someone's coming. We see Sabigang walking. He approaches the bush and says, "Geez, I have to do this quick. Oh man, I must have drunk too much tea. No, wait, it can't be, right?" A liquid starts falling on number 5's head. Number 7 watches in horror. Number 5 can't take it and screams as he jumps out. "Hey, you crazy jerk! What are you doing?" But as soon as he reveals himself, he stops. Sabigang is just holding a kettle in his hand. "Hey, want a cup?" Number 5 pauses and then says, "You scoundrel, you knew and did that on purpose." He draws his blade and leaps at the instructor. "I'm going to finish you." He prepares an attack, but Sabigang reacts. Barrier. What? Upon blocking the attack, he grabs the man by the face and smashes him hard against the ground. "Yeah, nice to meet you, Phantom Shadow Manor." Number 7 has his head stuck in the ground. "Number 7, Sabigang says, this is what you get for meddling in other people's business. My dear friends from the Phantom Shadow Manor." Number 5 gets ready, but the other one says, "Wait, number 5. Number 1 jumps behind Sabigang. "Hello, Instructor Sabigang. To think you've already discovered us. That's right, I'm Sabigang, the one you've been spying on. You must be the leader of these frogs. But is it really okay for you to reveal your identity in front of the person you're investigating like this? That's a foolish question. I'm going to eliminate you right here. What problem could that cause? Are you really okay with that? Aren't you even a little curious about how I know you guys? We'll find out soon enough. Let's start by cutting off your every limb." The attack goes towards Sabigang, who raises his hand with a blue light. Mana blade. He disperses the attacks. The daggers shatter, and the leader jumps behind him, trying to catch him off guard. Sabigang, however, manages to defend himself. Not so fast. Number 1 keeps trying to attack the instructor, despite lacking the great destructive power of an Akigun-jun. He's fast, precise, sharp, and deadly. Each technique is a fatal attack aimed at vital points. In particular, the density of the energy imbued in the blade is impressive. There's no way a barrier could hold it, and I can't deflect it with my mana blade. Yes, that's the way. Number 1 moves away and looks at number 5. Strange. It's hard to put my finger on it, but the power and style you're using is fundamentally different from the martial arts of the Orthodox sect. There's no way you just stumbled upon this power. Don't tell me. Is it the demonic art? Come on. Have you ever seen demonic arts in person? It's been years since the demonic cult fell. What nonsense. It has nothing to do with demonic arts, although you're right that it's not your typical martial art. I see. Now I understand that you're not someone who can be simply subjugated. I have nothing against you, but I will take your life. All of this is for the good of the Ghost Shadow Manor's mission. Sabigang watches the man. He pushes off from 2 trees and moves quickly around Sabigang. It's an exclusive movement technique that, after erasing all presence, confuses the opponent with high-speed movement. And then, in that moment of confusion, Phantom Soul Flash, we see Sabigang's arm fly off. A cut happens so fast it's impossible to perceive. Number 1 stops after the attack. Despite this, we see Sabigang using another technique, illusion. But what? Number 1 is hit with a strong punch to the face. He's thrown far away. And number 5 watches with concern. How did you manage to do that? Sabigang questions. So you pride yourself on your stealth skills, huh? Search. He uses another technique. Sorry, but I can see you as clear as day. Now, shall we have a more in-depth conversation? The Lord of the Phantom Shadow Manor. No, the leader of the Origin sect. The Origin sect. A mysterious sect like a phantom in Jianghu, never appearing in official events. It's not clear if they are an orthodox or unorthodox sect. Their true objective as a sect is hidden behind a veil of secrecy. So much so that, decades ago, when a massacre wiped out all direct blood relatives, including the leader, most of Jianghu didn't even notice. Only those born and raised in the origin sect, loyal to the end, knew the truth. Those who survived that tragedy emerged under the name of the Phantom Shadow Manor. Now, they gather and collect information throughout all of Jianghu. They are a top-tier mercenary organization that deals with all sorts of dirty and dangerous missions. However, this is all for just one objective: the restoration of the fallen origin sect. That's the mission you're talking about, isn't it? Impossible. The true history of our sect is a top-level secret. This has never been discovered in decades, Sabigang says. Let me be direct. Just do 2 missions. Do 2 things that I'll ask of you, and I will give you information about that, the thing you've been looking for all this time. You, how dare you? You dare to speak such nonsense. 20 years. We've spent 20 years. We came to the Central Plains with just a sliver of hope for the sake of our mission. Do you even understand what we're looking for? The blood of the origin sect. More precisely, a unique bloodline that can fully inherit the martial arts of the original sect. There's a strange birthmark on their left wrist, right? Number 1 thinks, that's right, the core of our sect's restoration. The exact reason we've wandered for so long. But even within the manor, only a select group of people knows this secret. Thinking this, he asks, how do you know? Enough, that's all I'm going to tell you. Now choose accept my request and get the information, or spend the rest of your life chasing people. Alternatively, we can continue what we were doing before. Number 1 starts to think. He reaches his hand towards his sword. Sabigang watches carefully. The sword is raised, but he accepts. I will accept the mission. However, if you end up deceiving us, I will pay you back with everything I have. Sabigang smiles. Very good. Then let me give you the first mission.